You think because they were physically there, because they provided, because you didn't go without, that you shouldn't feel hurt. You try to express something. I felt unseen. I felt alone. All right. I'm not coming on here as someone. I'm not coming on here like some expert or someone with like some type of title. I'm coming on here as someone who has lived through a lot of things in such a short period of time. And honestly, I'm still figuring a lot out about my life. Have you ever sat with yourself and realized, like, damn, my parents really didn't know how to love me in the way I needed? Not because they didn't care. I feel like my lashes going like, ugh. But because they were overwhelmed. They were surviving. And when you're in survival mode, you don't always have the tools to pour into someone else, especially emotionally. Yeah, they might have made sure the light stayed on or that I had a roof overhead, I had food in my stomach, but emotional presence, that softness, that space to feel like I was that space to feel what I was feeling without being shut down or told to toughen up or be strong. That part was definitely missing. And now here I am, and here you are grown, doing all the right things, but still feeling like something is missing, something's off. Like, we have all the puzzle pieces, but do we really have all the fucking puzzle pieces? It's like you can't really put a finger on it. And the widest part, sometimes you feel like a distant cousin in your own body. Like you're here, but not really home. Like the light's on and ain't nobody in that bitch. Functioning, but not really, or fully feeling, and no one around you is asking about the version of you that had to stay quiet amongst it all. The quiet version of you that is unraveling behind the smile. When your emotionally unavailable parents follow you into your adulthood, it doesn't always show up like a trauma story. Sometimes it is quiet. If you're showing up for everybody else, but deep down wondering, why doesn't anybody show up for me like that? You learn early how to be dependable, the helpful one, the one who doesn't need too much. And now as an adult, that pattern doesn't just go away. It evolves. You become the friend that everybody leans on, the friend that everybody needs, the one that everybody can depend on. And you never complain. The one people assume is always fine, but you're not always fine. We've mastered just the art of pretending. I remember a couple years ago, I hit this really pivotal moment in my life where everything shifted, everything changed. My cousin had passed away, and that loss made me look at life differently. Not just life, but people. I was laying in bed one night and just thinking about everything, like how I was feeling, grieving, the state of my life. I was really feeling heavy this one night, and it hit me. I'm that friend, the one everybody calls, the one who will drop everything to be there, but I couldn't name a single person at that time who checked on me like that consistently. Not just because my cousin passed away, but consistently over the years. So I started scrolling. I went through text messages, not just from like that week, but from like years ago, 2 years ago. I'm reading message after message, realizing it was all me. Me checking in, me asking about families, me seeing how they were doing, me holding space, me, being that shoulder to cry on, me being that friend that everybody can come to. And rarely, if ever, did anyone ask me how I was doing. And if they did ask me how I was doing, it's because I asked them first. But most of the time, it was just like me asking how they was doing. It would be like all about them. And I'm looking at these messages from a time when I was depressed. I was really going through some real dark shit. And a lot of people knew. But nobody asked me how I was doing. Nobody showed up. And that moment, that reflection, That night I was laying in that bed, it was like grief. But also a death to a version of me that was no longer there. It wasn't just disappointment. It was grief for the support I felt I should have had. Grief for the one-sided love I thought was friendship, because the moment I realized that nobody was coming to save me I became my own rescue. And the important part that I'm learning is that it is not my fault that I was treated that way. Yes, I was definitely caught up in life. Yes, I thought strong meant not needing anyone, but that belief didn't start with me. I feel like that's the programming that we were all raised with in some way. That's what emotionally unavailable parents teach you. Be the helper, be the giver, don't be a burden, don't ask for too much. I didn't know what mutual friendship or safe love felt like because it was never modeled. So no, it's not my fault, it's not anyone's fault how things go in life. But now that you can see it clearly, it is your responsibility to stop portraying yourself like that. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they're used to the version of you that tolerate being overlooked. You deserve reciprocal love, real friendship, emotional safety. You never had it before. That doesn't mean you don't get to have it now. The role you learn to play, the strong one, the one who doesn't need much, it doesn't just come from nowhere. It starts at home. It's not about shaming parents. It's not for the ones who were cruel or careless. It's for the parents who tried. The ones who showed up physically, who went to work tired, who paid the bills, who stayed even when they were breaking inside. But presence doesn't always equal emotional safety. You can live with someone every day and still grow up feeling invisible. You can be fed, clothed, in-house and still not feel nurtured. And that's the hard part. A lot of parents believe that what they did, providing, feeding you, clothing you, housing you, was enough. They think because they were physically there, because they provided, because you didn't go without, that you shouldn't feel hurt. You tried to express something, I felt unseen, I felt alone, I needed more from you, and they hit you where I was there. I put food on the table. You had a roof over your head. You had clothes on your back. And while that is true, that's not parenting. That's providing. Parenting isn't just about materials. It's about emotional presence. It's about how you showed up when your child was falling apart, how you showed up when your child was needing you the most. It's about being able to nurture their full independence, nurture their own journey in life. It's about what you modeled when they cried. Did you tell them to stop crying? Did you shame them for feeling? Or did you teach them how to sit with those emotions, to honor what they are or were experiencing, to hold space for themselves? But the real tea is, a lot of adults today walk around saying, I'm just not emotional. What else do people be saying? I don't like to talk about it. I don't like to talk about my feelings. I'm nonchalant. I hear I'm nonchalant the most, but that's not natural. That is who they became over the years. They're not nonchalant. They are silenced children in adult bodies. Children who never was taught how to express what they feel because they weren't allowed to. They were raised in homes where their voices were seen as too much or disrespectful, where speaking up was met with don't talk back, or children should be seen, not heard. And that phrase right there, the children should be seen, not heard type stuff, that teaches you from the jump that you don't matter until you are grown, that your emotions are a problem, that your truth is an inconvenience, that you're invisible until you're old enough to serve or perform. So no, this isn't about blaming people. It's about telling the truth and being honest about life and the journey we are on. I feel like when you're on a spiritual journey, when you're on a soul awakening type thing, or you're going through whatever you're going through, it's important to just be honest with yourself. It's important to tell yourself the truth, because the truth is, we're out here trying to figure out how to feel, how to speak, how to connect, while carrying years of being emotionally shut down. You did your best and I survived because of it, but survival doesn't mean I didn't hurt during the process. And if we're going to ever heal, if we're ever going to change and evolve as people, we have to hold both. Not either or, both. You tried and I still needed more. To the adults who grew up parenting themselves, here we are. The children who grew up too fucking fast. The ones who stepped into roles we were never asked for. The ones who didn't get to just be kids because someone had to hold all the pieces together because no one else was going to do it. If you're the one who figured things out without guidance, then you weren't just a child. You were your own parent. And that does change you. It teaches you that needing too much makes you a problem. That expressing how you feel is unsafe. That asking for help is weakness. So you stop doing it. You stop asking. You stop needing. We grow up and become the adults who handle everything. We have everything on our plate. The one who never breaks. The one who always have an answer for something. Always has it together. The one everybody can fucking depend on because you had to. And now here we are, and we don't know how not to do that. People will tell you all the time, like, you're so strong, so responsible. People will tell us all the time, or for me, I can't speak for everybody else, but you relate. People tell me all the time, like, I'm so strong and I'm so responsible, but I don't think they realize it came at a cost. They don't realize how tired we really are, not just physically, but emotionally. And if I'm honest, if I'm being honest, sometimes I wish I could not be responsible. Like, just one day, I wish that I can have no responsibilities, where I could just not have any responsibilities. Even now, I'm 26, and there are days where I just want to rest, where I want to feel like a child. And I know I'm not a child, but I just want to feel like careless and not having responsibilities. I want to play. I want to do something crazy. Well, not crazy, but, silly or mindless or soft and not feel guilty about it. But life doesn't always give you that. Because now I'm at a point where I have to keep going. I have to keep providing. I have to keep being responsible. I have to pay my bills. I have to make sure I have food on my table. I have to make sure that I am able to survive, especially in the fucking world that we're living in. Like, make it make sense. I have to put my big girl pants on. I have to show up, stay consistent, handle what needs to be handled. Even when I'm on E, even when I can't even get the fuck out of bed, I know I have to. And I know I am not alone in that. So many of us, we don't have the space to just be. When we get off of work, we're not clocking out emotionally. Some of us have children. Some of us are in school. Some of us are managing relationships, grief, exhaustion, invisible wounds, and still trying to show up every day like we're okay. Even weekends don't always feel like rest. And weekends be going on like that. Like, a weekend be feeling like 2 hours. But I feel like our weekends are used to recover for the week we just had. Like, we're trying to regroup, trying to catch up, trying to breathe before the next cycle starts over again. It's like the weekends aren't enough. And some people have to work on the fucking weekends. That's the crazy part too. That's the part I feel like no one really prepared us for. That even when you grow up, you still might be carrying a weight that never belonged to you in the first place. And maybe the worst part is you've carried it so long that it feels normal. It feels like everyday life. It feels like nothing new, nothing's changed. We don't know what it feels like to not be needed, to not be responsible or useful. But in this season, what I'm learning is, because lately I've been going through a moment of where I'm just like, pivoting a lot, and I'm going through a lot of changes, and I'm going through a really big shift in my life. But one thing I'm learning is being the one who always shows up doesn't mean I don't need showing up for. Being the one who knows how to survive doesn't mean I don't crave softness, I don't crave safety or care. And being the strong friend doesn't mean I don't break. I'm allowed to want more. I'm allowed to be tired. I'm allowed to want to lay it all down, and not because I'm giving up, but because I deserve rest too. I want to lay down all day and not just not get out of my bed, not cook me dinner, order food, give me a little DoorDash, a little Uber Eats, maybe Instacart, whatever, and just be careless. As when we grow up parenting ourselves and we become adults, it's like you can't just like cut it off. There's no cutoff. This is not about blame. It's about naming or telling the truth. Two things can be true at the same time. Yes, our parents showed up. They showed out in ways they could, in the ways they knew. And yes, at the same time, they lacked in providing an emotional, safe space. They lacked in providing or nurturing your individual spiritual or soul's growth. They didn't nurture you mentally. They didn't nurture you spiritually. They didn't nurture you emotionally. This isn't about bashing anyone. It's not a moment to point fingers or carry shame. It's a moment to sit with these truths, to be honest with ourselves, because now we have the power to do things differently. We have a chance to show up for ourselves, for our partners, for our children, for whoever matters. You don't have to be perfect. Nobody expects anyone to be perfect. Shit, I'm not perfect. I still go through things in life. I'm still learning and unlearning shit too. But we do owe it to ourselves to show effort, to commit to at least trying, because healing and real healing starts with you showing up for you first before anybody else. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give from emptiness. What are you giving? So once you name the truth, what do you do with it? Because awareness is just one step. If you stop there, nothing changes. This isn't about sitting in the pain. It's about choosing not to repeat what broke you. That's where reparenting comes in. Let's be real. This isn't just some healing, surface level type of shit. It's not something you do when life finally slows down. It's necessary, it's daily, it's survival and self-rescue. Because when you don't reparent yourself, you burn out faster. You say yes when your whole spirit is screaming no. You overfunction in relationships, carrying emotional weight that was never yours. You emotionally shut down when you needed connection the most. You attract people who mirror the neglect or chaos you grew up with, because your nervous system thinks that's familiar. And you end up resenting people, not because they're always harmful, but because you never felt safe enough to receive. But worse than all of that, you start resenting yourself, because deep down, a part of you knows you're still abandoning you, just like they did. That's why reparenting matters. It's not just realizing what we didn't get. It's learning how to give ourselves what we need now in real time. It's when we catch ourselves spiraling, and instead of numbing it out or sweeping shit under the rug, we pause and we ask ourselves, what would I have needed to hear at 7 years old? It's choosing to rest without feeling guilty. It's choosing to lay in bed and order DoorDash and not do shit at all, just stay in bed. It's saying no without a paragraph or justification. It's letting yourself cry without shame. It's deciding you won't keep abandoning yourself just because someone else did it first. And then there's the version of you who still is waiting. The part of us that never got to be held. The part that still thinks love has to be earned. The part that doesn't trust peace unless it's followed by pain. I don't want to be the strong one all the time. I don't want to be the reason everybody else is okay while I'm secretly falling apart. I don't want to be the one everybody can come to for everything and I can't go to no one for anything. I don't want to be praised for how well I carry it. I want someone to come to me and say, you shouldn't have had to. I want people to check up on me too. And I think that's what my main thing is like when I'm creating friendships and I'm in spaces, I want people that are just as caring as I am, just as nurturing, just as giving as I am. I want to be seen, not for what I do, but for who I am, underneath all the survival, underneath all the strength, underneath all the performance. I want people to see me for who the fuck I am. That's not weakness. That's the child in me still hoping someone will come back and say, I see you, I hear you now, and I've got you. And that someone is us. We have to say that to ourselves first. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to do it all today, but you do have to start somewhere. And the first place you start is with yourself and realizing what you need first, because we all deserve that. And while we are here, let me tell you something else. That's changed how I looked at everything. You don't attract who you want, you attract who you are. God doesn't give you what you hope for. He gives you what your inner world is aligned with. That's what we call the mirror principle. If y'all don't know what the mirror principle is, go on YouTube and look it up. I think they got like a 5-minute video on the mirror principle. But the mirror principle is basically your outer life reflects your inner life. Whatever's going on inside of you, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, the universe mirrors it right back. The universe validates your thoughts. It proves you right. So when you're walking around thinking, I'll never be loved in the way that I deserve, the universe says, okay, let's make her right. Let's validate this thought or feeling. Not out of punishment, but out of reflection, out of alignment. The universe aligns with what you feel for yourself. That's why I say the mental comes before the physical, because your thoughts shape everything. Your mind creates, it destroys, it builds, it blocks. When you believe you're unworthy, life finds a way to validate that same emotion or feeling. When you say nothing ever goes right for me, life says, okay, let's validate her again. But the good news is that we can change that. We all have the power to change the way we feel about ourselves. That's why affirmations matter. That's why I ams matter. Speaking life into yourself matter, because it's not just words. It's retraining your brain to expect different. So when you say, I'm abundant in all areas of my life, favors me, you're giving the universe permission to prove you right. But the key is set the desire and detach from the outcome. That's alignment. That's healing. That's reparenting too. Because when you finally believe you're worthy, love, safe, and seen, life will reflect that back to you. This video wasn't about blaming. It wasn't about fixing anyone. It was about finally being honest about how so many of us are just walking around as grown-up versions of the kid that never got to fall apart. The kid who had to hold it together, make it make sense, and push their own feelings aside because no one else was going to catch us. We learned to act fine before we ever got to feel safe. We got so used to pretending, we got used to silence too. You need to know, and what I am learning too, is that we are not too far gone to feel again. We are not too numb to begin again. We are not broken. We are just carrying too much that was never ours in the first place. You are alive, and if you are breathing, you still have a chance to become more, do more, and live differently. This video isn't about sitting in the mindset of, damn, my trauma really messed me up and staying stuck there. It's about saying, yeah, I went through things I should have never had to experience. I carried weight at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old that I had no business carrying, but here I am, still going, still standing, still breathing, still surviving. And because of that, I owe it to myself, and you owe it to yourself too, to love you, to honor you, to hold space for yourself, to nurture the child in you who never got to feel, who never got what they needed, to show up for yourself in ways no one else have ever did or done. So whether you are a parent who did the best they could, or the adult who had to raise themselves. This is definitely a reminder that your story doesn't have to end with silence. You get to speak, you get to heal, you get to become. And if you're ready to start unpacking what you've been carrying, I created a shadowwork prompt that goes along with this video. You can download it at becomingherrss.com, or I will link it down in the description if they don't flag it. My prompts are a sacred offering, a soft place for you to land, a space for truth without judgment. Because even though I'm still healing too, I believe we are all allowed to start somewhere. We don't have to carry it alone anymore. And as we start showing up for ourselves in real time, as we learn to rest without guilt and say no without feeling shame or trying to justify it, and love ourselves without condition, something shifts. You stop reaching for the pain that used to feel like home. And I'm gonna be honest, when you start like trying to step into a space of loving yourself, or just step into love and anything opposite of what we were taught, it does feel unfamiliar. It feels uncomfortable at times, a lot of boring, but it's actually not boring. It's just peace. And when you spent your whole life in survival mode, peace can definitely feel like a fucking threat. What I want to talk about next in the next video, because healing isn't just about what you let go of. It's about learning how to receive something better. Even when your body isn't sure it can trust it yet, it's about just sitting in that space, regardless. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you tune into next week's video, because we're going to dive deeper into this shadow work journey and this healing journey. So